Okay, we're going to get into the first section of Chapter 1. This is a 3-section lesson for Chapter 1, or Section 1.1. It's all about variables and expressions. The first thing we need to talk about is, in terms of algebra, why is it important? Pretty much it's the foundation for all the upper level mathematics courses, and if you don't know algebra, it's almost impossible to pass anything beyond this class. One of the key adjustments from math to algebra, which is the math that you love to the algebra that you don't like, is variables. And so when you talk about variables, you want to know what a variable is. It's a letter or symbol representing an unknown amount. Now what you need to notice in your notes is that this is italicized writing, which means anytime you see italicized writing, make sure you look at your notes and see if there's something to add to your notes there. At the end of the day, if the notes weren't completely done or you couldn't find it, let me know and you can complete them. But like I said, every time there is a italicized part, it's going to be on your notes there. We typically use X, Y, N, or any other letter, but there are many variables in algebra. You've probably worked with variables already. You just didn't even recognize it. For example, you've more than likely seen something like 8 plus 5 equals blank, or some box, or 3 plus some box equals 6. In algebra, they would just write 8 plus 5 equals x, or 3 plus x equals 6. In other words, this was your unknown amount. In algebra, it's just going to be written as an x, or an n, or a y. This was your unknown amount. In algebra, it's an x, or an n, or a y. Now, we already understand this to be 3, which means that here x would be 3, here x would be 13. But again, that's the general idea of what variables represent. An algebraic expression, again italicized here, is a math phrase containing one or more variables. Again, algebraic expression because remember algebra has variables, expression because it's got one or more variables in it. The essential question on our day is, how do I convert words and phrases into algebraic expressions and equations? It's easy enough for us to turn the word 6 into the number 6, but what about the other parts? What we have to do here is learn the prompts for each operation. And so that's what this video was going to be about, is just showing you the general idea of those main prompts and those main operations you need to be ready for. First prompt is addition. Again, here is italicized part, so again I believe this is part of your notes here. The prompt words you're going to know for addition are plus, sum, and more than. I would put an asterisk by that one because that's important. Other words that you could use is older than, longer than, taller than. Those are all going to be more than, something like that. So again, all these are similar to more than, but again, those are your prompts for addition. In terms of your examples for this lesson, it's going to be on the back, so you probably want to turn your sheet over when you see examples for this. The sum of a number and 6. What you want to do here is put a box around your operation words or your prompts. Again, sum is a prompt for addition. Anytime you go through it, you want to underline anything that represents a number. 6, of course, is a number, and here it says a number here. This is our representation of a variable because it doesn't tell us what the number is. It just says a number. So again, sum means add, a number means it's going to be a variable, and 6, just do it in the same order. A number is first, so x goes first, plus 6, and that would be all you had to do for that one. 5 plus a number. In this one, my operation word is plus, and so we put a box around plus. Our number values are 5, and again, a number, we don't know what that number is, and so we simply put 5 because 5 was first, plus a number represents x or n or some other variable. The one to look out for, which is why we had more than with an asterisk by it or a star by it, is because when more than is my operation prompt, 8 and a number, the only way you can do 8 more than a number is if you reverse that and send 8 to the back and put a number in front. The key for this is that the phrase more than, older than, all those that are like more than switches the order. All those other prompts stay the same, and so they're not too hard to work with. But again, the more than prompt is the one that changes your order, and you need to actually practice that to make sure you don't mess that up because it can cost you points on that. In terms of subtraction, the prompts that we have there are minus, difference, less, less than. Again, put a star by less than if you're going to write that down. Again, that is your note part there. You also have younger than, shorter than, anything that kind of takes away from something there. And again, those are parts there. Feel free to pause the video to make sure you get a chance to write these things. In terms of examples, you have a number minus 2. Again, this is on the back side of your paper. Again, the operation prompt is minus. There's a value. There is a value. Again, keep the order the same. A number is first, so we put x minus 2 here. On the second type, difference is my operation prompt. 5, a number are my value prompts. And again, since 5 is first, put a 5. Difference means subtract, which is minus a number, which means put an x after it. The next one has less as our operation prompt, which again means subtract. Our number values are 6 and a number. So again, you put 6 minus x in that case, because that's how it works. But again, this is the tricky one you got to worry about, which is why we put a star by less than. This case, less than is our operation prompt, 6 and a number. But the only way you do 6 less than a number is to switch the order here and put x first minus 6. So again, another key is that less than is a phrase that switches the order of worded values. Now be careful, because less than is different than less, and you got to make sure you remember which one's which. Otherwise you end up switching it and it's not supposed to be switched, and then you end up missing the whole thing. So just be careful on that. In terms of multiplication, again, your prompts on this are times, product, each, per, of. Anytime you see those words, they mean multiply. But in terms of being careful here while you're watching, imagine writing 6 times a number as 6 times x, and notice how confusing that is. So what we're not going to do in algebra is use the time symbol because of the x's. So what we're going to do instead is use no symbols and always put the number first. If you think about it, we did it already with parentheses, where we would have put 6 parentheses x, but we don't even need the parentheses. We would just do 6x. So again, you do not do any symbols. You just put the number first, variable second, no symbol. Alright, so variable first, number second, no symbol, and that is also italicized, so make sure you write it. And then we have some examples here for you to watch or get written down for you. Prompt here is product. That means times, a number, and 9. That's an x, that's a 9, but remember, in multiplication we put number first, variable second. Doesn't matter. In this case, our prompt is the word of 2/3 of a number. So that again means times. Our value here is 2/3, a number. That would be 2/3 with an x right beside that line. Do not write 2/3x, because that means the x is on the bottom. You either want to write 2x/3 or 2/3, again making sure that x is right beside that line. That value with the x on the bottom would be wrong, but again, 2/3 with the x right by the line is also good. If we saw a number times 11, times would be our prompt, a number and 11 are our values, but again, remember, when we multiply, it's number first, variable second, so it's nothing really special about the order. $5 per notebook is tricky only because, yes, per is the prompt, 5 is our number, but it's 5 per what, and it's per notebook. So what we probably want to do here is use a value that makes sense, because we're talking per or each. So we're going to do 5n, because n would stand for notebooks here. So again, 5 per notebook, I would do 5n because it's 5 times each notebook. And then if you saw something like this, where each student ticket costs $2, remember I said that each is a prompt that means multiply. $2 is our amount, or is our number here, and again the variable here is each student, and so I would put 2s because it's each student costs $2, and so that way you have your variable that actually makes sense. These are the only two, per and each, that you really want to make sure you use your variables that make sense, because as you get further into equations and things going on, the algebra that we're doing, you're going to be reading a problem and creating your own equation, and you want to make sure you know what numbers represent what values. In terms of division, easy enough. Your prompts are divided by and the weird word quotient. The key on this is that we do not use the division sign in algebra anymore, so you're going to write it as a fraction with the first worded value on top. So whatever is first goes on top, whatever is second goes on the bottom, and that is the crucial part you have to be careful about. So if we saw, for example, a number divided by 8, your prompt here is divided by, that means divide. You have a number and 8. order still matters with everything else but multiplication. So since a number is first, you put x there over 8. You do not write x divided by 8. That will be marked wrong. Again, it's x over 8 because that's how you're going to write your quotients from here on out. The quotient of 10 in a number, this is my prompt for dividing. 10, a number, is there. And so since 10 was stated first, we put 10 over x. Again, 10 on top, a number second, and that is that. So your final thoughts on this are what two operation phrases tell us to switch the order. You got to make sure you know that. Hopefully you recognize those two words or what those two things are. Also, which operation completely ignores the order of ordered values is also important. And what's special about how we write division. What you should be thinking as you go through this is that more than and less than are the two phrases that switch it. That order of ordered values does not matter in multiplication, because remember, in multiplication we always put number first, variable second, and that division is written as a fraction, either 10 over x, x over 10. Remember, whatever is stated first goes on top, whatever is stated second goes on the bottom. So be sure to again, get those notes done. Be sure to read your notes tonight before you come back to school tomorrow. That way you at least see it again. And other than that, good luck, and make sure you work hard on trying to understand this stuff.